Ladies and gentlemen, Harold Hobbies here, and it's been a while. And since then, I've started collecting Black Templar Space Marines. These boys, they're fighting off in some godforsaken jungle world. Damp, wet, full of dangerous animals and plants. And I want to reflect that on their bases. So I have this idea that I'm going to put down muddy textures, vibrant green plants, and some extra bits here and there. So let's get started. I'm so blessed to own a 3D printer, so I went on My Manufactory to find some suitable sculpts for my idea. And I found these nice ferns and big leaf jungle-like plants by a creator called Boommaster. I went ahead and printed them, some of them in a smaller scaled down version to better fit on this 32mm base. And I made sure to print quite a big collection of these, so I have plenty to choose from, and once these are painted I'll have enough for quite a bit of extra bases in the future. Just primed them white, and now they're ready for some painting. For the big leafed plants, I'm going to use Shamrock Green by Army Painter. This is a speed paint, and I'm just going to slap it on, but I'm going to be mindful of not leaving too many big blotches of paint on it. Once this dries, it'll have a nice green hue that'll fit the jungle theme perfectly. For the ferns, I've chosen to go with a darker green called Orc Skin, also by Army Painter. This is also a speed paint, so I'm again going to be mindful of not leaving big splotches of paint, because those will show up as dark patches once this dries. These ferns are actually pretty fun to paint, and like the result you get off just one coat of this paint, it just looks phenomenal. As I paint these, I can't help but be amazed by the quality of resin prints. I know there are some layer lines that you can see in the video, but keep in mind that you're seeing this way up close. Once this fern is put on a base, you won't notice that it's 3D printed. It's just amazing. Our plants are looking great with just one coat of paint, but let's add one more step to the process, and that's dry brushing. I'm going to be dry brushing with a yellow color to bring out some extra vibrancy. I know I've used this word quite a bit already, I guess, but trust me, adding some yellow will not only make the plants look more natural, but it'll just create some more visual interest and make it look more believable, more real. For the dry brushing, I've decided to use the Volcanic Yellow by AK. It's bright yellow, but it's still got some warmth to it, so it fits in with like the earthy tones that I'm going for on my base. And I'm trying to be a bit gentle here with these plants as to not squish and break them. They are just teeny tiny baby plants, so I don't want to hurt them, and I do need them for my base, so they gotta stay intact. But this step is just super satisfying. This one simple step just adds just another level to these plants. And yeah, with this done, like this is the result. Just take a look. Like on the left, you have none dry brushed, and on the right, dry brushed. You can really tell the difference. I'm also going to pick out some stones. This is aquarium gravel. I'm going to look for some sizes and shapes that I like, and then I'm just going to gauge whether they'll actually fit on the base. It's always a good idea to do upfront before you start assembly. And with stones gauged and picked out, it's now time to start the basing. I'll start out with placing the plants. I'm just going to be gentle here and adding them with some super glue. And I cannot stress enough how much trouble this one plant gave me. It took me ages to glue this down. For some reason, the glue wouldn't stick, and I had to put everything down, just take a break. I was fuming. Luckily, this fern here, it was a lot nicer to me, so that wasn't any issue. Now already this space is starting to come together. These 3 plants really add a lot of depth to the overall model, but we still have quite a few steps to go. And next up, I'm going to start adding some mud textures. And for this, I'm going to be using a product by Green Stuff World, simply called Mud Texture. Applying this is really straightforward. I'm just grabbing an old brush that I don't care too much about, and I'm going to start spreading it out in a thick layer to cover the base. I'm going to be mindful of not getting any of the mud texture on any of the plants, only their bases. I don't want it to touch the leaves. But I do want the mud texture all over the boots and some of the lower parts of the legs of the model, as well as the tabard that is hanging from the center of the model. This texture is gonna make for a great wet look when it dries up, and you can already see now how wet it looks, and it'll actually retain this glossiness once it dries. It's gonna really sell the idea that this space marine is fighting on this wet, humid jungle planet. Using texture paints on your bases is really an easy way to really up the look really cheaply and easily. And gotta say, the products by Green Stuff World have really impressed me. I'm not sponsored or anything, but I can highly recommend them. I want to add another layer of realism to the base so it just looks a bit more believable. And for that, I'm going to use some leaf litter also from Green Stuff World. And I'm going to pick my tweezers, test them. Good. And with the tweezers, I'm going to be carefully adding a little bit of this leaf debris around the bases of the plants. And as you can see here, I've already done so. And I'm being a little bit careful. I don't want too much or else it'll look messy. But having some leaf debris underneath the plants will really sell the plants even further. And I think this looks quite good. So next up, the rock. So I picked up one of the rocks from previously and I primed it black. And now I'm going to go over with a Caspian blue from scale 75. I'm just going to base the entire rock in this color. I've chosen this blue because I personally really like the color, but it also adds a nice bit of contrast to everything, and it ties into the highlights of the Space Marine model. Next, I'm going to highlight the rock with Baron Glue, also by scale 75. And this is just going to make all those small edges pop up and just add a bit more detail to the rock. Looks great. Now, this step I've really been looking forward to, but equally dreading, as it's the first time I'm going to be working with the UV resin. And depending on how this goes, it can either royally screw over the entire progress, or it'll turn out to look amazing. I'm going to add a droop of resin to this tip of a toothpick, and using the toothpick, I'll be adding small droplets on the plants in places where I imagine water would gather. So at the tips of these leaves, imagining that these water droplets are about to fall off, or in the recesses where the water would pool as well. Being my first time working with this, I'm actually really surprised at how easy it is to handle this UV resin. Just try not to get it on your skin. Maybe it's a little bit hard to tell here how it's gonna look, and I had my doubts as well while doing so, but I just trusted the process and stuck in there and hope that once this cures, oh yeah, by the way, this needs to cure. It is UV resin, so you cure it by putting it in the sunlight or under a UV lamp. My point is, I hope this looks great once it's cured. And I guess we can speed up time a little bit, because all that's left to do is paint the rim of the base. And then this is done. Huzzah! This base turned out great. I really like the result. The green plants, the blue rock, some nice contrasting colors, and those water droplets from the UV resin really sells this look of being on a damp, muddy jungle planet surrounded by some vile xenos. Overall, outstanding result. Really happy with it. And I hope you enjoyed following along and maybe even got some inspiration for your own basing projects. Let me know what you're going to be working on next. Herald Hobbies, signing off.